Hi, everybody. I'm Lisa Plaggemier, the Executive Director of the National Cybersecurity Alliance, and I'm joined today with Amira Dhalla from Consumer Reports. Amira, can you introduce yourself, please?
Hi, yes, great. Thanks, Lisa. My name is Amira Dhalla, and I work as an Associate Director at Consumer Reports. I am in charge of making sure that people are getting the right tools and tips to protect themselves online in our digital rights and privacy, and ensuring that people feel that they are in a place of action to be able to mobilize and engage more people as they continue to learn.
So what are some common mistakes that people make when it comes to their data privacy?
Yeah, I think that one of the most common mistakes is just assuming security by default on your settings. And so these type of things where you bring them into your home and they have auto passwords or names such as routers are really big for that. We're not actually changing the details that allow us to customize and secure them in a way that provides more privacy to our data.
So it's not necessarily an all or nothing proposition on using some of those apps. Talk about how people can use those things safely and securely and with some of their privacy still intact.
Yeah, at Consumer Reports and myself personally, we don't believe it's an all or nothing. So we do believe there are ways to use these products and tools and allow them to come into your lives and increase whether it's the utility or the convenience to do that in ways that are more secure and private. So there are like 4 grand tips that I will give wherever I'm talking about security and privacy. And these can relate to whether they're smart devices or internet connected devices you're bringing into your home. And they are: 1, have a strong, unique password. That is crucial to maintaining security and making sure that you are not using the defaults. And in doing that, oftentimes people do revert to using password managers as a security. So they only have to memorize 1 password, and then they allow something to manage and secure you in all the places you are. The other is using multi-factor authentication, which adds a 2-layer protection. So even if there are breaches or security threats, which allow your password to be shared, there is also a second layer that protects you from your data being shared in places you don't want to. The third I actually love talking about because I feel like this is such a habit that we need to get into as consumers, but updating your privacy settings. So whether you first start using a product or when you first purchase it, or getting into the habit of continuously doing it over every few months or every 6 months, going into the privacy settings and making sure that you have control over what you're sharing, what you're doing, and changing them to customize them based on your preferences. And the last one would be turning on automatic updates, whether they're on your devices or on your platforms, and making sure that those are done as soon as they're available, because those are done to ensure your safety in the threats of vulnerabilities or leaks or any other sorts of information. And they give you the highest level of protection as known by the corporation or company or platform you're using.
Those are fantastic tips. I love that there's just 4.
Yeah.
Anybody can handle those, even my mom, even my kids. As far as those settings on popular apps, we actually have a page on our website as well that because it can be a little bit hard to navigate. You might go to one app and find the settings for your privacy in one place, and another app they're in another section of the app. So we've got for all the most popular ones, we've got a web page that walks people through that.
Yeah,
for all the most popular platforms.
It's really important because so many companies, so many people assume security by default. So when you bring these things into your home, you're assuming there is security automatically. And the default is often actually more beneficial to companies and corporations versus they are the user. And so for you to ensure your own security, you don't want the default and you want to be able to doing this. But also these settings are often updated pretty regularly by the company, and you won't know what's available unless you have a practice of going in regularly, whether it's in your phone and going to the settings and just clicking through some of them. If you get into that practice, whether it's annually or biannually, you can go in and turn on and off location devices. Sometimes I actually, it's really fun because I get to see the apps I no longer use. And one of the pitfalls of consumers when it relates to online apps or platforms is that we don't do a good job of actually deleting accounts we no longer use. And
Right.
instead, we might often just delete an app from our phone, or we might just exit it and just not use it. But a lot of our data is continuously stored there or shared there, or it's being captured in the backgrounds of our phone. So some of the things we can do is actually going into those accounts, deleting our profiles altogether, and then deleting the apps and making sure we're cleaning up our accounts every so often, which is a part of just good cyber hygiene.
Right. Yeah, we have to keep that webpage updated regularly because those where you go, the menus that you navigate through to find those settings changes on a regular basis. They unfortunately they don't make it easy for people, do they?
No, and that's why it's important for people like us who are advising others on how to stay secure, and just consumers in general, to get into the practice of doing it so often.